have these rights. I feel like we're seeing some of those effects here in the way that that we address people who are living on the margins.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details. Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com. This is Rogers TV.
Welcome to this edition of Dufferin Life. I'm your host, Teena Avery. Thank you so much for joining me. So we want to talk, and I always talk about this, and it's so vitally important, about shopping local. There is an occasion coming up, an event coming up to shop local for Valentine's Day. And if you're a Valentine's person, or even if you're not and you want to go shopping and support local, this is the time to do it. Joining me today, we have Joy. Joy is with us from the Mom Market
Orangeville.
Mom Market Orangeville. It's almost like a tongue twister for me, apparently. Apparently, I just need to take a deep breath.
There's a lot of M's there.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's talk about, what is the Mom Market Orangeville?
So the Mom Market is part of a broader franchise that is Canada-wide. So it is a collective. We organize pop-up markets all across Canada.
Okay.
So we actually started in Ontario back in 2019 by a mom, hence where the name came from. Expanded across Ontario, started moving into the other provinces. And I think as of December, we're now coast to coast from east to west.
Amazing.
And Newfoundland should be launching shortly. So that's really exciting. But the Mom Market Orangeville is just the area of where we live, and I'm the organizer for just this one region.
Right. Well, I mean, because I'm an event planner, and I know what it takes to do these type of pop-up markets. I wouldn't want to be doing all across. I mean, you know what? If I were younger,
it's quite a bit.
It is a lot of work.
It's quite a bit. It's there's a lot of moving parts, similar to event planning. There's a lot of little details.
Yes.
You got to be really, really on top of the details.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start by telling. So it's the Valentine's Day market.
Yes, February 9th.
February 9th. So tell us when and where.
Yeah. So we are at the Tony Rose Arena, up in the banquet room.
Okay.
So we're going to convert it into this big, I'd like to call it a love fest. So we're going with hearts, we're going with, lots of chocolates, roses. I'm a local floral designer, so I'm going to have roses for the moms.
Nice.
And roses for everybody, actually. That drops in and makes a purchase from one of the vendors. We've got approximately 30 vendors for this one.
Right.
That number could increase, which is really exciting.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
their products are fantastic. I don't even know how to describe how wonderful they are.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the vendors, just to give people an idea of what to expect. But what time are we all coming?
We are starting at 10 and we went till 3 on the 9th. Actually, all the markets this year are 10 to 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. So let's talk about what to expect at the Valentine's Day market.
So these are craft artisan vendors. So they're all handmade products. It ranges from candles to jewelry, all the way to tapestries, baked goods, jewelry. There's so much. I have an awesome wood vendor that does all sorts of really cool charcuterie boards, cutting boards, and she makes it out of wood from her backyard.
Oh, amazing.
And she's out in Caledon, so it's fantastic. There's a massive array, and I like to say that pretty much you can buy something for everyone. The vendors have so many different products. They kind of cater to everyone, so it's fantastic.
Well, and I think, there are a lot of markets that pop up through the year, no pun intended, pop up. Each time you go to them, you might see someone similar or the same person, but what I find is really fascinating is there are so many different little things, you never think about who makes those.
They're all handmade. They're all handmade artisan products. The Mall Market, out of all the kind of different pop-ups that happen in and around the region, is more of a community-based market. So we pop up generally monthly, a little bit more at a regular frequency.
Right.
Just kind of have a rotating array of vendors that come through. And it's one of those things where if you see a really cool product at a pop-up market, buy it, because you're probably not going to be able to find it again.
You know what? You're absolutely right, because I went to a Christmas one that I went to the previous year, and I'm like, ooh, I bet you I'm going to be able to get another one of those for so-and-so. I was like, what?
That's the beauty of the pop-up. You've got to really come out to see what is popping up, who is popping up, what products you're going to be able to find at really cool locations, because we move around, and then keep coming back to see what else we've got. It's pretty awesome.
And you know, the vendors change depending on the market.
The vendors
and, you know, when they're available to go on to do a show and all that sort of thing.
Exactly
so it always changes, and there's always new things, and I just find them fascinating. And again, I'm going to say it just like I said at the beginning, shopping local is very important.
Absolutely.
And by doing this, you know, you're supporting small businesses.
Absolutely.
And that's
the whole premise behind the pop-up markets and the mall market and how it was started was essentially being able to provide a marketplace for small businesses that don't have a storefront.
right.
Getting a storefront is quite difficult, and that is not generally the first step in your small business journey. That's the step that comes much later. You got to start somewhere. So by being able to provide a marketplace where people can come and gain exposure for their business, for their brand, you have to kind of expose your company, your brand, to the public, and it takes about 7 to 8 times before it really even catches on.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like regular people that have small businesses. I think originally it might have been mostly just moms with small businesses, and now it's expanded to everybody.
Right, which I think is great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like, I mean, you know, it's been a long time since I've been at home with little ones and that sort of thing. But I've had my own business, but it's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
I don't make anything. I'm an event planner. I spend a lot of time on my computer. Like, you know, I do the marketing, I do all these different things. But having little ones at home and then having the time, the fortitude, the discipline to sit there and make products, and then like, okay, now where do I have to go?
That's exactly it. There are the online marketplaces, the Etsy's, you know, those types of small, they're catered to kind of artisan products or fair. There's a few different ones.
Yeah.
But locally, if you're trying to kind of get some sales locally, if you're trying to market your business locally, maybe you do eventually want to get into a storefront. It takes time.
It does.
And you would know from when you started from, you know, from where you were then to where you are now.
Yes. Yeah.
It's quite a long and hard journey, and sometimes it's very lonely.
Yes.
So the mall market provides that bit of community as well, a little bit of support. All the small business owners are all in the same boat together.
Yes.
We're all trying to do the same thing, which is market our businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, too, what is very unique about a lot of the smaller markets, I apologize, I have a bit of a frog in my throat, but what's really unique is, and I'm not sure they do this in the bigger shows, maybe they do, but they don't have as much time, but you get to network with each other as well.
Definitely.
And you can build relationships with these different people, and sometimes you can collaborate on projects together.
Definitely.
Like if we took one of these and put it with one of these, imagine we could sell it as a package or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, the vendors have done that, and it's one of those things where if it's a quiet moment, you know, the vendors are also shoppers,
yes,
which is amazing. They walk around and they shop each other's products because they, more than anything, understand the importance of shopping local. So I love that about that community, and I walk around and I shop as well, and it's just one of those things where everybody's in there to kind of network, market, and hopefully also make some sales.
Yes, I mean, ideally that's what
ideally
we're all
that would
there
be
for,
wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's watching it happen. 2 complete strangers that came into this did not know each other 8 hours ago, and they walk out best friends, and they've swapped contact information, business cards. They have plans to kind of push each other, and you need that support when you're starting a small business.
Yeah, and I think it's just anyone in business, like, especially like as a sole proprietor, like you, as you said, it can be a lonely kind of journey as you're trying to do this, and sometimes the best collaborations can come from just having a conversation about like, have you ever tried this type of marketing? And then someone's like, oh, don't do like that didn't work for me, and someone else is like, well, that worked for me, but you find that thing that might work for you to give you that extra little step up, and you can help the market too as well. So please share this information on social media with your friends. Let everybody know that you can shop local with love, and make sure you're writing all of this down so you don't forget. But we're sharing it with you at the same time. So how did you get involved with it?
So I started my own floral business, and I was looking for ways to market locally. I don't have a storefront. They're actually very hard to come by, and it was not really part of my business plan to have a storefront. I've kind of discovered them that way of like, how can I get my business name sort of out in the community? Did a couple markets, came to realize that markets are not for my product. Learning curve as a business owner, that's kind of how it goes. And then I was actually due to be a vendor in this region with this franchise.
Okay.
And at that point, they were popping up at the Orangeville Mall, but it was under construction.
Okay.
And then there was a change of hands with leadership, and we were without an organizer for over 6 months. And I just kind of reached out one day. I was like, hey, what does an organizer do? Because we haven't had markets here for a really long time.
Yeah.
What does an organizer actually do? What does this job entail? And Jasmine, who is our founder, reached out. She's like, hey, do you have a minute to talk about it? And by the end of the conversation, I had a job.
Right, you were hooked. You were hooked.
I
yeah.
was absolutely hooked, and I really did not know what I was getting involved in. So it really has kind of how to describe this. Like it's really dug into me, and
Yeah.
I'm such a huge supporter of small business and local previously, but now it's
just amplified.
I'm absolutely obsessed.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how many markets you would normally do, or how many we're expecting for 2025.
So the markets are run like a small business, so I've had to balance it with my small business. This year we are doing a total of 9,
Okay.
which is pretty exciting. Last year I believe we did 6.
Okay.
So we're trying to go to a little bit more of a regular frequency, about once a month. Don't want to overwhelm myself, because then we don't have the energy to really put on a good market.
Right.
There's a lot of working parts. There's a lot of different things that go into it. Having it any more frequently than one a month kind of gets a little repetitive. We don't want to do
and
that
I mean,
either.
and I think it gets really hard on the vendors as well.
It does.
And you know, they're trying to keep up with everything and
They have
make
lives.
their products.
They
and
have families. It's a lot to balance. There are some of the really big shows, like the Dufferin Christmas show with, I think it's Julie and James. They're awesome.
Yes.
And that's been here for about 20 years.
Yes,
And
yeah.
that is a once a year massive bonanza of Christmas stuff. I love that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
This is a much smaller, more local, intimate setting. We usually don't have more than maybe 70 or 80 vendors at max.
Okay.
The venue's just
But that's not a bad thing, though,
no,
right?
it's actually wonderful. It really depends on if you really like a more smaller, intimate settings where the vendors are really trying to kind of talk to you, get to know you, have the time. It's not sort of chaotic and busy. It's just a little bit quieter, a little bit more chill.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about, I mean, we kind of briefly touched on it, but I want your perspective kind of as a whole. Why is it important for people to come out?
Shopping local, I know that kind of gets thrown around a lot, and people don't exactly know what that means after a while. It means that you're keeping basically funds in your local community. You're supporting your neighbors, your fellow, I'm not sure if they're called Orangevillans.
Or Orangevillians.
Orangevillians, I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe not Orangevillans, but yeah, Orangevillians. Yeah.
Orangonians, I don't really know. But this is somebody's dream. This is somebody's whole life. So by coming out to support and keeping funds within your community, that's how you're giving back to your community, as opposed to supporting really large big box stores that will not give you the same level of quality.
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. There's so many things to see at the Valentine's market.
Absolutely.
So be sure to write that down on your calendars. Make sure that you're going out to support local. Even if you don't have the funds, share it with everybody. Still go out and talk to these vendors. Build those connections with people. We're all part of the same community, and that's absolutely amazing. Joy, I want to thank you so much
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It was truly my pleasure.
It was wonderful to see you.
And don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. So we're still...
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Today, I helped a parent feed their family by connecting them to a food program.
Today, I helped someone connect with mental health supports.
Today, I helped a couple struggling to pay their bills access financial aid.
Every day, 211 navigators connect Canadians to critical government and community programs and services.
211. Help starts here.
Are you a content creator looking to expand your audience and make your voice heard in your community? Rogers TV wants to provide you with a platform to share your hobbies, interests, and stories for free. Visit us to find out more.
Welcome back to Dufferin Live. Thanks so much for staying with us. And if you're just tuning in, as always, you're tuning in at a great time. So we're going to talk about the best day of the year. And joining me today, we have Carrie Ann DiCaprio. See, there we go.
Just like Leonardo.
Just like Leonardo from the Orangeville Food Bank. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I always enjoy our chat.
Yeah, she's been on the show before, different role, but we're not even going to go into that. Let's talk about what the best day of the year really is.
So it is the coldest night of the year, which is our biggest fundraiser of the year for the Orangeville Food Bank. It is a family-friendly walk. It starts and ends at the Orangeville Food Bank and tours through downtown Orangeville. So you can choose to register for a 2 or a 5 kilometer walk, depending on what your comfort level is. And it is a variety of local teams, from sporting teams to community partners like RBC. We have a great workout crew that will be there to warm everybody up, and to fitness will be there. So just lots of community support, and it is a family-friendly event. We encourage strollers, toddlers, munchkins of all ages to come out too.
That is amazing. So let's talk about, in case you haven't heard of the coldest night of the year, what I want to kind of go over is, why are we doing this in February and on the coldest night of the year?
Yeah, so it really is a national event that happens in various cities across Canada. And so what it is taking place on the coldest night of the year to bring awareness to those that are struggling through hurt, hunger, or homelessness. For us, being out in the cold for just a few hours to do this walk, it is a very small price to pay to experience what those are facing every single day in our communities.
Absolutely, and I think whoever came up with this idea, it was a very brilliant idea, because I think, we think of, and everyone who watches the show, or if you're just tuning in for the first time, I'm a huge supporter of the Orangeville Food Bank, and it breaks my heart to think of anybody being hungry. So whoever thought of this to give us that perspective, because we think of the food bank at Christmas, we think of the food bank, Thanksgiving, maybe Easter, sometimes you see the drives that happen in the spring, and there was an amazing drive that happened in the fall of 2024 as well. But having that perspective of being out in the cold, because you don't think about that, right? Like, most people don't think about that.
It's true. And these are the stories that we're seeing every day. Single families that are living in their cars, people who are just struggling to be able to provide food for their families, things that we take for granted, being able to run into Freshco and buying a bag of grapes or bananas, whatever it is our family needs. For some of our families that we're seeing at the food bank, these are luxuries. And we just want to provide for them a really dignified experience when they come into the food bank. And having people come into the food bank in an event like this really brings the community together, but gives them an awareness that they might not have had of some of the programs that we offer through the food bank, because we do have a few outreach programs as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I think if you're not aware what's going on, finding out as much information as possible. We had Heather on the show not that long ago, talking about the immense need and how much it has grown, and where we anticipate where it's going to go and how it's going to get bigger. And I know Heather's been on the show for years, and she's always talked about she wants to be worked out of a job. Like, she doesn't want to have her job anymore. We want everyone to be fed, happy, healthy, homes, everything. And some of the stories can just be heartbreaking. And you don't realize that it could be somebody that lives next door to you. It could be a family member. It could be a friend.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
We have no idea. So that's why we always try and practice grace when we're out and about in the streets, because you don't know what somebody else is going through, right? And one of the things I like the most about the coldest night of the year is you come together as a community. You do this 2 or 5 kilometer walk through downtown Orangeville, which I love. But then at the end of the event, there are these beautiful burn barrels that are burning with fires. Our chef puts together a beautiful meal with chili, macaroni and cheese. There's little gift baskets of swag that go out to everybody. So it is a bit of a celebration that's happening after the event as well.
And I mean, we've mentioned this before, and I'm going to say it really quickly. There is no funding. This is how you get your funding, is by fundraising. There's nothing coming in from federal and provincial and that sort of thing. I know that you do get support locally.
We do.
But I mean, this is really an important event.
It is the most important event for us at the Orangeville Food Bank. Basically, without our community donations coming in, whether they're from residents or individuals or corporations, we would not be able to open our doors every day to do what it is that we do in our community. One of the things that I like to say is the food at the food bank does not belong to us. We're just holding on to it and making sure it gets out to the community in an equitable manner, because it is given to us from the community to go back into the community.
Right.
So we're just keeping an eye on it.
Absolutely. I am adoring and loving your sweatshirt. So we're going to talk about how you can register in just a minute, but we're going to talk about your sweatshirt first.
Yeah, so the coldest night of the year, this is called the Hurry Hoodie.
Okay.
So nationwide, there are 300 of these hoodies that are printed up, and you have to be one of the first 300 to raise $500 in donations for the coldest night of the year. So I got mine in the mail last week, so I'm very excited. This is my 8th year walking in the coldest night of the year, but only my 2nd year earning a Hurry Hoodie.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. So there are different ways that you can participate. Sometimes people are hesitant to fundraise. You know, we've talked about how it's important to spread the word, let people know about events that are happening and going on. But challenge your neighbors, challenge people at work, create a team. I mean, is that not the best way to just get involved?
Yes, get a bunch of friends together and make a whole event out of it. Come together, walk together, catch up on all the local gossip. It's just so much fun. And there is really no pressure to fundraise, but one of the things that Coldest Night of the Year is known for is their toques. And this is the toque for 2025.
It's beautiful.
And I love it so much. If you do fundraise $150 as an adult or $75 as a youth, you get to get one of these toques.
They are absolutely gorgeous. I do love them because they've been in all different colors over the years. When I've had Heather come on and I'm like, I think I like that one the best so far.
This one is my favorite, yeah.
Yeah. And you said you've been participating for 8 years. And how long have you been working with the food bank?
About a year and a half. So Coldest Night of the Year was part of my introduction into the food bank, which made me realize that my calling in life was to be an employee of the food bank and to be able to give back for so many reasons.
Yeah, I mean, it's so vitally important, and it's a way to give back to the communities, you said, and I've had friends that have volunteered there for years, and if you've never done it and you're thinking about volunteering somewhere, I encourage you to do it, because where you may not have money to donate, or maybe you do, but you still have that feeling inside like you want to give something more. Donating your time is so valuable.
Yeah, not everybody can donate finance, right? So we always say, you know what, it doesn't have to be a financial donation, volunteer time, or even just talk about what it is that we're doing at the food bank and spreading the awareness of what's happening and the fact that we don't have the federal or provincial funding. It is so important that that word gets out, because we do advocate for our clients and try, we want to push ourselves out of a job. We want to make sure that people have all of the food that they need so that we don't have a job to go to anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, and we talked about it briefly, but I mean, right now it's not looking that way. The way the cost of living has gone up and the cost of food is going up, and there are so many people, you know, that you wouldn't imagine come to the food bank that do, because they have that need, and we want to make sure that in the future is not happening.
I have people say to me all the time, when they come in, they do feel a bit of a stigma about coming into the food bank. They never thought that they would be there. They're always the ones that have made donations in the past. And we just like to say we're like a TD bank or an RBC bank. When you can, you make a deposit. If you need to,
you make a withdrawal. And it is as dignified as that. We're always so happy when people cross our thresholds, because one of the hardest things in the world is asking for that help. And that is why we are there. So we want to encourage people that, you know, if this is a one-time solution for them or a lifetime solution for them, please come and let us help you, because that's what we're there for.
Absolutely. Such an important part of our community, for sure. So if somebody wanted to necessarily maybe even volunteer for the event, how would they go about doing something like that?
Yeah, so they're going to go, we have a Facebook link. You can go to our website and there's a link there, or you can go to Coldest Night of the Year, locations, the Orangeville site, and you can sign up to register as a team or register as a volunteer for the event. And there's lots of volunteering positions available, from greeting to being route marshals, lots of opportunities to hand out swag bags at the end of the event. Just to be there in person is really exciting.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other programs that you have happening. I mean, I know that there's programs with cooking and preparing meals and that sort of thing. Let's talk a little bit about maybe not just coming in to get food, but some of the other things that you offer.
So we do have a couple of workshops that we offer on a continuing basis. So one of them is the cooking one that you had mentioned. It focuses on working with the food that we have in the food bank, because let's say, for example, you have a recipe that you want to make, you've come in, we might not have cream of celery soup. So what are you going to take from our shelf to be able to help you to still make the recipe that you have in mind?
Right.
So we offer these creative cooking workshops. We also offer container gardening workshops, and trying to teach people how to maybe grow their own food, which is a little bit more economical. We have a 25-cent vending machine at the lower level of the library, which is always super successful. We also have a pay what you can sliding scale fresh fruit market, which travels from Orangeville to Shelburne to Grand Valley. So lots of programs. We have a seniors market. We have food deliveries for those that aren't able to come in and see us at the food bank. And so we really just, our sole mission is to get food into the community.
Yeah, and I think, and you're doing an absolutely fantastic job. Like some very original ideas, like the 25-cent vending machine. You know, like I said, honestly, I'm trying not to get emotional. It breaks my heart to think of people hungry, and I think that you're doing everything that you can to kind of get out there and make that happen. And with the coldest night of the year coming up very, very soon, which we need to talk about too. Let's talk about the date and timing when people should arrive, and then they can go online and register.
Yeah, so the event is on February 22nd, 2025, and although the event is called the coldest night of the year, we have been very fortunate for the last 8 years. It has actually not been the coldest night of the year. It was really cold last year, but most years it's actually been really beautiful for our walk. And we recommend people start to show up at about 4 o'clock, and then there's a registration process. And then as you work your way through the food bank, you'll make your way out to the back of the food bank, where there's going to be an ice carver in the back. We're going to have some entertainment happening as well. There's going to be selfie stations and just lots of activity happening. Then we're going to have our workout happening with N2 Fitness. Heather will give a bit of a speech, and she'll send everybody out all pumped up and ready to walk. And then most people are headed on their way home by 7 o'clock. So just a couple of hours of your time, but a really heartwarming, change your life experience.
Well, we know where we need to be for the best day of the year and why we need to be there. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show to talk about it.
Thank you for having me.
It was truly my pleasure, and thank you for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye for now.